Jack and Annie returned to their treehouse on a quiet afternoon, the kind of day when the sky was pale blue and the breeze carried the faint scent of falling leaves. The two siblings were still thrilled by their previous adventure in the time of dinosaurs, and Jack, as usual, had his notebook tucked under his arm, ready to record everything. Annie, full of energy and curiosity, could hardly wait to see where the treehouse would take them next. When they climbed into the treehouse and opened the book that always seemed to guide them, they noticed the pages glowing with golden light. The book whispered to them about ancient Egypt, about mysterious tombs, hidden passages, and pharaohs whose names had been lost to history. The magic of the treehouse stirred, its walls vibrating softly, and before they realized it, the treehouse spun, and the familiar forest outside their window disappeared. Suddenly, they found themselves in a sun-baked desert, the air thick with heat and the smell of sand. Towering pyramids rose against the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched across the golden dunes. Jack squinted and tried to take notes, but the sight of the enormous stone structures left him momentarily speechless. Annie, however, bounded forward, eager to explore. They noticed a small village nearby, where people were carrying baskets of food and water. Jack was fascinated by the strange clothing and the way people seemed to move with purpose, while Annie was more interested in discovering secrets and imagining herself as a great adventurer. As they wandered toward the village, a kindly scribe noticed them and approached. He spoke in a language they could not understand at first, but the magical book glowed again, helping Jack and Annie to understand his words. The scribe explained that the pyramids were built as tombs for the pharaohs, and he warned them of the dangers hidden within. Jack listened intently, absorbing every fact, while Annie's mind raced with the thought of exploring the tombs despite the warnings. The scribe told them that the pharaoh's tomb they might see could hold traps, curses, and secrets that had remained untouched for thousands of years. Despite the warning, curiosity pulled them forward. They found a narrow passageway leading into one of the smaller pyramids. Inside, the air was cool but heavy with the smell of ancient stone and time itself. Torches flickered along the walls, casting dancing shadows. Jack kept a careful record of everything he saw: the hieroglyphs, the patterns in the stone, the clever mechanisms built to protect the treasures inside. Annie, however, could not resist touching the walls and pressing the stones, wondering which ones might hide a secret. They discovered a series of traps, sliding stones, hidden pits, and corridors that twisted in confusing ways. Each time, the magic of the treehouse seemed to guide them, keeping them safe even when Annie's excitement almost led them into danger. Eventually, they came to the burial chamber of the pharaoh. It was a magnificent room filled with treasures of gold, jewelry, and carved statues. At the center lay a sarcophagus, decorated with paintings of gods, hieroglyphs, and mysterious symbols. Annie approached it cautiously, fascinated, while Jack wrote down everything he could observe. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and a sense of being watched filled the room. They realized they were not alone. There was a mummy inside the sarcophagus, perfectly preserved, as though it had been waiting for them. At first, they felt fear, imagining curses and spirits guarding the tomb. But then Jack remembered the instructions from the magical book. He read aloud the words that would keep them safe, and the mummy slowly sat up, not menacingly, but as though it had been expecting visitors. The mummy, once a young pharaoh, began to communicate in gestures and simple words. Jack and Annie learned about his life, his love for learning, and his wish to be remembered. They felt a strange sadness, realizing that even after thousands of years, he had waited for someone to care. Annie, ever compassionate, promised that they would tell his story when they returned home. The mummy smiled faintly and gestured toward a hidden passage, indicating that it was safe for them to leave. As they exited the tomb, the heat of the desert returned, and the bright sunlight reflected off the sand. Jack and Annie walked back toward the treehouse, feeling the weight of the adventure they had experienced. They had learned about ancient Egyptian customs, hieroglyphs, and the life of pharaohs, but they had also discovered something more important: empathy, courage, and the magic of helping others, even across millennia. When they climbed into the treehouse and opened the book again, the magic activated one last time. The spinning whirlwind of colors carried them back to their own time, safely landing them in the familiar woods near Frog Creek. Back home, Jack recorded every detail of their adventure in his notebook, from the traps inside the tomb to the stories of the mummy pharaoh. Annie could not stop talking about the treasures, the pyramids, and the excitement of exploring unknown places. They both knew that the treehouse had more adventures in store for them, but they felt a special connection to this journey, a reminder that even the past has stories that need to be discovered and remembered. That night, as they drifted off to sleep, they could almost hear the whisper of the treehouse calling them for their next adventure, promising new worlds, new friends, and new lessons to learn.